Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. It's good to have you on here, Charles Bishop. How you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Got out to vote, and that has got that done a little earlier today. So if you have not done so, especially if you are still in the Central Time Zone, make sure you get out to vote.
Man, great call. Great call. Appropriate as always, as well as I got up early in the morning, traveling last week. I couldn't do early voting. Obviously, that didn't shorten the period here in Texas, as you see around the South. So you don't have as many options as you used to. But y'all know about this as much as I do. It's part of the game that some want to play. And it's not really a game, which is the sad part about it. But with that being said, I got my tail up this morning and was able to get in there, check those boxes, and be a part of what I see as somewhat of a solution. But with that being said, let me invite our other guest in, Stephen Gaither, who's been a workhorse today, and he'll be able to share some of that. But how you doing, Mr. Gaither?
I'm doing great, Doc. I was able to get in and vote as well here in North Carolina. Not a lot, a little municipal stuff going on, but I went ahead and made my voice heard, so got to do that.
Yeah, great point. That's a lot of what was going on in my area. Fort Bend, in that area, is more state constitutional stuff we had to vote on. Which is all over the state, obviously, and then some municipality type of things, including a bond potentially for some high school, which certainly would like to work. I know all don't necessarily believe in it as well. If it's not their money, they don't want to necessarily share it. But a lot of discussion, while we are very knowledgeable and we certainly could do a great job on the politics side, we can get in that discussion. But our viewers here come in to listen to us talk about HBCU football. We're going to do just that after I welcome everybody appropriately. Welcome to episode 455 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the
I found this on the web for He Said Insights and Information. Check it out.
In the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment. Literally, he's legitimately out on assignment. He's flying to Brazil. I don't know how he gets these type of business opportunities, but he's my brother. He's promised he would take me on a trip. So as long as he continues with that promise, we're going to treat him real nice, Charles. We're going to treat him real nice, Charles.
No doubt about it. I'm down for the Brazil trip.
We're filming from our home studios in Senegal 6 to 38 studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home from Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, I think I've just about recovered from Prairie View's homecoming. You saw as we did the show on Sunday, we pushed through it, gave you that entertainment, but you probably saw a little bit of that. Is the appropriate word hangover? I don't know, because I don't. Well, never mind. Maybe we'll just keep that on the show. With that being said, let's get into it before we get ourselves in trouble here, gentlemen. Charles, what's the news of the day that you want to share?
Yeah, let's start off with the other football. Let's talk a little bit about soccer. It's Grambling State. They defeated Jackson State 2-1 to claim the SWAC soccer title for the first time since 2006. The Grambling State women's soccer team punched its ticket to the NCAA Division I women's soccer tournament with a 2-1 victory over the number 2 seed Jackson State. this past Sunday at Prairie View, soccer complex. Grambling, who made its 5th trip to the SWAC title game in 6 years, broke his championship drought with the win. The victory also extended Grambling's unbeaten streak to 14 games, which is a program record. Grambling defeated Jackson State on the strength of 2 first-half goals by Corey Banks and SWAC women's soccer tournament MVP Sophia Lazizidis. Lazizidis' performance capped off a remarkable SWAC tournament that saw her score 4 goals. So kudos and hats off to the Grambling women's soccer team for the huge win this past weekend. A lot of things going on in Prairie View this past weekend. Not only did you have a homecoming game, but you had a SWAC soccer tournament.
Man, good stuff. Shout out to Grambling. And shout out to Charles. He put in that work during the same week when I was enjoying myself a little bit. At least the first couple of days I was work. I was in New Orleans. I came back. He drifted off a little bit. They gave him a day off. And next thing I know, he does the show. He's outing, talking about he has to get over there. We get outside. The buses ain't even showed up yet. This man is prompt. This man don't play. And much like Stephen Gaither, they just workaholics. But I like it. Young people, they put in the work. But that being said, let me go to you, Stephen Gaither. I seen you were bright up early in the morning, in the middle of everything. Yesterday it was Savannah State. Shout out to the SIAC. This morning it was CIAA. Winston-Salem State University. Shout out to the CIAA with Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith. Man, they showed out. It looked good on TV. It showed out. And I heard you were there. I saw some of the outtakes of that. But with that being said, I heard you got some big news to share with the world that you already put out there. But let's get it on the show.
Yeah, Doc. Well, it is definitely it was definitely a great day at Winston-Salem State. It's always a great day to be a Ram, but the entire sports world got a chance to see it. And so, first take was there. Shannon Sharp. Molly was larger in charge, and Stephen A was there as well. So it was a great day. They had an announcement to make. I kind of heard it at the Virginia Union game a couple of days before, but they pretty much all but said HBCU game day, don't break the news. So I said, okay, I won't this time. But it was Virginia Union and Winston.
They got real nervous.
They know me over there. So
just a little.
So Virginia Union and Winston-Salem State University will be taking their talents to the NBA All-Star Weekend and playing in that HBCU Classic. It's a big-time game for both schools and the CIAA. The HBCU Classic, I believe the first one took place 2 years ago, 2021. All MEAC matchup, Morgan State and Howell University. And then last year was an all-SWAC. It was the Grambling State and Southern University. And now they've brought it home to the oldest HBCU conference and got two HBCUs with a lot of basketball history in Winston-Salem State University and Virginia Union University. Between them, they have 4 NCAA titles. First one in Winston-Salem State. They also have, 2 basketball Hall of Famers as players, Earl Monroe and Ben Wallace, and then also head coach Clarence Big House Gaines, pro basketball Hall of Fame, a basketball Hall of Famer as well, and hopefully sometime soon Dave Robbins will be as well, definitely deserving. So it's a really exciting news. 2 programs that are not only storied histories, but they've really been doing well recently. Both teams won 20 plus games. They met up in the CIAA semifinals for a really tight game, a memorable game. Virginia Union had kind of been like the Detroit Pistons to the Bulls, bullying the Rams. They were able to get the win in the semifinals and go on to the championship. But both teams are really strong. 20 plus wins for each team. Both teams made the NCAA Division II playoffs last year, and they'll be looking to do the same as well. So really excited. I joke, but Winston-Salem State is a basketball school, and Virginia Union definitely a great basketball school, although they're doing really well in football as well right now, and the other schools not. But it's really exciting. It should be a great stage for what has historically and recently been a great matchup.
Now that's doing a news plug. All those little nuggets in there. You sound like Charles throwing in some of these nuggets and historical factors.
I'm trying to get like that. I'm trying to get like that.
Yeah, I see why you highly favored in terms of your professionalism. To say I'm I'm a professional, highly qualified.
That's right. One of the best in the business.
Yes, sir. Charles, with that, let's get in here and get some of these Football Weekly news out here, if you would.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's take a look at the SWAC weekly football honors. The SWAC is named Alcorn State's Aaron Allen, Keenan Leachman, and Noah Keanu, along with Bethune-Cookman's Tick Boyd, as his SWAC Football Players of the Week for their impressive performances during games played this past weekend. Let's take a look at those performances. Offensive Player of the Week was Aaron Allen. He went 19 of 30, 263 yards with 3 touchdowns during Alcorn's win. Huge win, 44-21 over Southern. He paced the Braves offensively while completing 66.2% of his pass attempts. On the defensive side of the ball, it is Keenan Leachman. He registered 3 tackles along with 2 interceptions, highlighted by a 95-yard interception return for a score during Alcorn's 44-21 win over Southern. He also contributed a fumble and returned it 27 yards for a touchdown in the first half of that game. Specialist of the week was Noah Keanu. He went 3 of 3 on his field goal attempts and 5 of 5 on his extra point attempts during Alcorn's 44-21 win over Southern. Kicked a 37-yard field goal midway through the fourth quarter to help seal the win for Alcorn State. The newcomer week is Tick Boyd from Bethune-Cookman. He led all Bethune-Cookman receivers as the Wildcats defeated Mississippi Valley State this past week. Caught 4 passes for 76 yards and a pair of touchdowns, becoming only the second Wildcat this season with multiple touchdowns in a game. So those are your SWAC Players of the Week.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's get over here to the MEAC as they announced their Players of the Week. South Carolina State Jawarn Howell was named MEAC Player of the Week presented by Coca-Cola. North Carolina Central's Cole Jones earned Defensive Player of the Week honors, while Morgan State's Todd Smith was named Rookie of the Week. South Carolina State's Knight Tasty, I believe it is, and North Carolina Central Adrian Aliebo received Offensive Lineman and Specialist of the Week accolades respectively. Howell, running back 6'2", 215, freshman, recorded a career high 283 rushing yards on 27 carries with 3 touchdowns in a 27-24 win over Howard. He was truly amazing. The true freshman had rushed for 100 yards or more in 4 straight games for the Bulldogs this season. Jones, the defensive back, 5'10", 195-pound junior, recorded 8 tackles, 5 solos, forced a fumble, and collected an interception, or as Mike would say, in a portrait in a pear tree, or is that Charles Bishop line, to help North Carolina Central's victory of Norfolk State. Smith, the quarterback, 6'2", 190-pound freshman, threw 2 touchdowns to lead Morgan State to a 24-17 win over Delaware State. In his first career start, Smith completed 6 of 17 passes for 131 yards with 2 touchdowns, including 66 yards on the ground. Tace, offensive lineman, 6'2", 295 pounds, graded out at 95% on all blocking assignments as he anchored the Bulldogs' offensive line that accounted for 457 yards of total offense, including 438 yards on the ground. Amazing. He also counted for 6 pancake blocks. I'm sure you were doing some pancake blocks. You having somebody rush for total team for 438, including your freshman player of the week with 283. Aliebo, the kicker, 5'10", 195-pound senior, contributed 8 points to Eagles' 38-24 win over Norfolk State. He registered 5 points after attempts and 1 field goal in the team's win. Before we get into it, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Coastal Athletic Association Football Offensive Player of the Week. That's Coastal Athletic, formerly known as the Colonial CAA. You know, this is Hampton. Stephen Gaither calls them the HBCU killers in terms of how they just seem to beat everybody in the HBCU landscape. Elijah Burris, junior running back, Hampton. Gastonia, North Carolina. Mountain Island Charter. Burris rushed for a career high 173 yards. And a career best for 4 touchdowns on only 14 carries, 12.4 yards per carry, as Hampton rallied past Maine 42-35. The junior had scoring runs of 1 and 80 yards before providing the game-tying and game-winning scores with a pair of 7-yard touchdown runs in the fourth quarter, including the final one with 1:48 to play. It was Burr's 5th 100-yard effort in the past 6 games. Lastly, before we go to this break, come back on the other side, see the poll ranking. We're going to get some special dialogue with CIAA, bring on another special guest to get it in here. Stephen Gaither knows him well. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We're going to give some special love since we got Stephen Gaither in the CIAA football. Our next guest is a D2 football guru, as many people say around these parts. We're going to talk a little about the CIAA football championship, Virginia Union, Fayetteville State, as they head to Salem for the 2023 CIAA football championship. With that, we'll be right back on the other side. Come back and check us out as we do the poll rankings, see what these guys think about my poll rankings, and really get into talk of the CIAA football championship and more. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Obviously, we're coming back with Charles Bishop. Man, I'm changing your name, Charles. Calling you Chris. I don't know how that happened. Stephen Gaither. I guess it's because we have Kris Ferguson in here, d2football.com. Obviously, you can catch him on Twitter at d2ferg. Again, of d2football.com. They have a special segment with Kendrick. They've been doing it. I don't know if you really follow D2 football, but if you do, particularly HBCU, with Stephen Gaither, all the other things he has on his plate with HBCU Gameday, they stream a show weekly that talks about D2 HBCU football. So make sure you check that out as they're getting it on there. On Thursday, I told you we'll do the same similar type of thing. We'll do it at the SIAC as we bring in Kendrick, the specialist of the SIAC. So we'll have everybody, when they do a show and drop it, we're going to give them some additional love for all the hard work they've done all year, because this is the week that they get to shine. You have the CIAA football championship, you got the SIAC football championship. So I thought no better time to make sure that we do what we say we do on HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure we cover it like none other. So welcome to the show, Kris.
Appreciate it. Happy to be
Hope
here.
I did you proud. Anything I left off, anything you want to add? I know you cover all D2. Make sure people understand that. You're a specialist in terms of HBCU, but you do it all. They say you the hardest working man in the business on Saturday when it comes to finding out information on the D2 level.
I just try to entertain. That's all I do.
Good stuff. Good stuff. But let's get into our poll ranking. This is where we drop this week's top 7, as we call it, mid-major level poll rankings, top 7. It's week number 10, so things are slowing down. We're getting into it and shaping up. So I don't know if there's a lot of controversy, but you're welcome to give your insight and give your thoughts in terms of my top 7, the way I see the world. People vote. I have a computer ranking system, but this is Doctorsville's HBCU mid-major division football, top 7 football poll ranking. Now, I do want to say this. I don't want to make you nervous or anything like that. I've been doing this for 20 years. So I try to have a little street cred. We'll see what it does. Dropping out this week as there were a lot of chaos and carnage. New term, I guess they got was SWAC-ish or whatever, SIAC-ish. Fort Valley State Wildcats drop off after a tough loss, 7-3, 6-2. Allen Yellow Jackets drop off. I think people expected that, but maybe not like the way they got beat up. The Yellow Jackets dropped 7-3, 5-3. Miles Golden Bears fell off as well, 7-3 and 6-2, the way they got beat. But receiving votes, still those Miles Golden Bears were 7-3, 6-2, 121 points. Allen Yellow Jackets were still in the receiving votes, essentially in the top 10, 7-3, 5-3, 116 points. And those Tuskegee Golden Tigers also in the mix at 7-3, 6-2, 104. Because of Miles, Tuskegee missed out on their chance to play for SIAC championship. Or Albany State said, hey, we can do one better. They dropped one on Fort Valley State and said, we don't want you playing for the SIAC championship either. With that being said, guess who jumps in the top 7? Because of their victory, they find themselves at number 7, Albany State Golden Rams. Up and down this season, but of late, they caught fire. Big wins of late. So they find their way in the top 7 at 6-4, 6-2, 129 points, not ranked, which means the SIAC will be a top 7 matchup of HBCU programs. We'll see if that even matters. At number 6, Florida Memorial Lions. They are the guests of all in terms of NIA programs. They're the only one to be able to find their way in the top 7. For the longest, it was Langston. Florida Memorial says there's a new fan in town at the NIA level, and they like to play with the D2 HBCU programs in the mid-major. They get it in number 6, 6-3 overall, 5-1, 138 points, not ranked. They have a big matchup this weekend with a top 6 national NIA program. We'll see if they can get it done. If they do, they'll end up maybe getting a share of that Sun Conference. Should be interesting to follow. At number 5, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls out of that South Division of the CIAA. So I really get to see what these individual fine gentlemen think about this move. Obviously, one of the surprises of the year in a lot of ways, especially in terms of what they finished up with. Golden Bulls got it done, 7-3, 6-2, 140 points. They were not ranked, so they jumped in the top 7. Well, enough of these teams that are not ranked that jumped in the top 7. Our top 4 are regulars. At number 4, Virginia State Trojans, 8-2, 6-2. They had a tough loss to Virginia Union, hang with them, but could not get it done. 144 points. They do drop one slot from number 3, but they're still in the mix in the top 7. At number 3, Fayetteville State Broncos, 8-2, 8-0. I don't know if there's a such thing as winning ugly, but they sure win differently, but it's the way they get it done. 8-2, 8-0, 163 points. They move up from the 5 spot because they just continue to do it week after week, it seems. With that being said, at number 2, not surprised to many, Virginia Union Panthers, 9-1, 7-1. They were tired of knocking on the door. They're finally in there for the CIAA championship, 180 points. Staying at number 2, they set up a matchup in this CIAA championship, 2 versus 3, nationally ranked teams, as you think. But they're in the mix. Should be a good one. We'll get Steven and Kris to tell us about that. At number 1, Benedict Tigers. They just continue to churn. We're not talking about this year. We're talking about from last year. Undefeated again. Hold on to the number 1 spot all season long and unanimously in terms of all 9 votes. They're 10-0, 8-0 in the conference race as they do it in style, beating up the Cinderella Allen Yellow Jackson said, not ready for the ball at this time. they take the glass slipper and slam it to the ground, break it in many pieces in the hearts of all those Yellow Jacket fans. 189 points as they do it, ranked number 1. With that being said, we're going to let the guest, Kris Ferguson, get in the mix first. We'll go to Charles, and then Stephen gets to close it out. What are your thoughts in terms of Dr. DeVille's top 7 in week number 10, Kris?
Well, it's hard to argue against that. And the one thing that jumps out is
now hold on. We got the guru here, and he said, Charles. Don't argue about that. Now he's gonna add on something to it, but I just wanted to get that part on record. Are we recording this? I'm just making sure. Go ahead, Kris.
Yeah, Kris, you did the disservice that time. You don't pump his head up.
But I mean, like when you look at that top 7, you know, those who that Albany out there has just, you know, put everybody down. And yeah, they might have a little bit better record, but they ain't got past them. I mean, that's a big piece of that. Florida Memorial, people may have forgotten that they beat Edward Waters, you know, to start the season. I mean, that counts for a lot in my book. So, yeah, and then you've got that top half. I think the one that really stands out to me might be Virginia State. You know, now Virginia State and Fayetteville, you know, Fayetteville is the champs still, and Fayetteville has beaten Virginia Union, although in less than stellar conditions. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to see if they can redo that in more ideal conditions. And that's what really sticks out to me. But, you know, Benedict's number 1 in the region right now, you know, looking at playoffs. And so, and Benedict is taking some shots. You saw what happened at Savannah State, right? They bounced back in the second half. You saw what happened with Miles. They you know, in the end, they couldn't pull it out. It was Benedict, Teflon, and Fayetteville State, Teflon. So, you know, right now, that's a solid list. That's a solid list.
Thank you, Kris. You can come back anytime you wish. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of my top 7?
I think it's
Kris says, yeah.
I know if Kris says it, then it's law. But I think, you know, take a look at it, it's spot on. The team that stands out for me is Florida Memorial, especially when you're talking about what they're in their 3rd year of existence in terms of playing football, and a team that's battling for the Sun Championship this upcoming weekend. That really stands out for me, and the way they put up points this season. They've been a prolific football team. But you take a look up and down this list, I think it's solid. Benedict has been the monster that has, you know, eaten everything this past season. Unfortunately, you know, Virginia State kind of fell down toward the back end of the season. But I think this is a pretty solid list when you take a look at the teams that are the final 7, the Elite 7, if you will.
Oh, Charles, as always. Stephen Gaither, top 7. What you have to say?
Okay. So I'm gonna say I like the list. I like it. I see why you did what
Here it comes.
I see why you did what you did.
But
There's always a method to the madness.
Alan. I just think you can't take you take Allen off. You take Albany State off. I'm sorry. They got the win. Congratulations. They're going to the championship game. Yes, they beat them. And Allen lost to Benedict. Albany State has not played Benedict, correct? They've not played.
Correct.
Yeah. Congratulations on for Albany State for making the SIAC championship game. Maybe they'll be the ones to break the spell for the rest of the SIAC, but I don't know. I don't know. I got an Allen crush. I'll just say that. So, but it's just if I was to nitpick.
I certainly understand. I think you make a good argument. They are number 9, which means they are top 10. It happens. Sometimes you get selective with the top 7. It's like that. Muscle in, muscle out. Sometimes it's what have you done for me lately? Which is not fair with the world, but it is the world with that being said. With that said, let's get into our next break. We'll come back on the other side and do what we're really here and talk about the CIAA championship. We'll get all the insight, all the information you get right here. So stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has Scalp Shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Minutes on the segment, 12. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, but we have Stephen Gaither, HBCU Gameday, Kris Ferguson of D2football.com. If you would follow both of them to get your insight. Also, as I said, they do a streaming platform. Check out the shows. I think you do it on Monday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday
at 7:30.
Thank you. Wednesday at 7:30 at 7:30 Eastern.
Yes, 7:30 Eastern. Yes, sir.
Got it. With that being said, let's get into the CIAA matchup. Let me see if I can set this up. Salem, Virginia. Salem State CIAA championship game. That's Saturday, November the 11th. That's 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. HBCU Go TV is where you can see the madness. We have a top 3 matchup. Number 2, Virginia Union Panthers, 9-1, 7-1, with a rematch against number 3, Fayetteville State Broncos, 8-2, 8-0. You heard Chris talk about it. Less than stellar conditions. Our old colleague, A.D. Drew, he just comes out and says it was in a hurricane. He doesn't even play around with it in terms of what he thought, in terms of what the conditions look like. With that being said, it's a matchup, a chance and an opportunity for somebody to be crowned champion. I'm going to go with you, Stephen, first. What are your thoughts in terms of the CIAA matchup?
Well, I think this is a year. It's been a year. It's been 13 months in the making. I saw these two play back at the end of September 2022, and great games. Virginia Union won that 31-28 down to the wire. Jada Byers did what he did, and they took that win. And I thought I'd see that matchup again in Salem, but Virginia Union did the unthinkable and faltered. Fayetteville State broke that curse the 5th time they got the charm. So, and then obviously you mentioned the monsoon game. So, this is a game that has been a long time coming. I'm really interested to see. These are 2 teams that they met again in that game. And Fayetteville State did like they've been winning all year, which is by the I don't know whatever you call it, of the horse, the hoof of a horse. They've just been able to
exactly
get
the horseshoe,
get that hoof out. Yeah, they must have a lucky horseshoe on those horse foot. So it's been even if you look at last week, their game was already over against certain team that wears red and white, and they were down 24-7 in the first half, and you're like, oh man, well, they're gonna lose heading into the championship game. But credit to Coach Richard Hayes Jr. nephew of great Bill Hayes. He found a way to win the game, come out on top, and it just seems like everything has bounced Fayetteville State's way all year. Can it happen once again? This is a Virginia Union team, man. It looks really good. I saw them in person on Saturday, and everything was kind of working their way. Virginia State their kicking game just totally left them to the point where it was laughable. I actually laughed in the face of some of the fans on the fence. I had to apologize. So I think this is, again, Coach Dr. Alvin Parker. He's an alum of the school. He's re-energized that school. He's got a proud football history. Yeah. Jada Byers, that run game and the offense. I mean, if they can be successful passing the ball the way that they were last week and run the ball against Fayetteville State, I think it's going to be a long day for the Broncos. But they just I don't know, man. They just seem like they got some juju down there in Cumberland County that's been working for them. So we'll see if they've broken the spell of Salem.
Shout out to Dr. Parker. We've had him on the show, interview, got some of his gears as he talks about that English and mixes it in with the soul, if you would, in terms of tennis shoes with the sneakers. Good stuff. Shout out. You're right. He told us last year Virginia State would be in the mix. With that being said, I'm going to go to Charles and get his thoughts on the CIAA championship game.
Well, I wanted to ask this question of you two in terms of what is it that makes Jada Byers special? Because, week in, week out, coaches talk about, making a team one-dimensional. And most of that is talking about stopping the run. But week in, week out, this is an individual who's going to have over 20 some odd carries, upwards of 100, 150 yards, something to that effect. But what kind of is the key to trying to corral Jada Byers?
Go ahead, Kris, and then Steve.
One of the biggest things that's different about Jada Byers than even the running backs that they have on their team is vision. I mean, Jada just seems to know when to make the right cuts, when to make the right moves. And when he does that, and that offensive line, I mean, we always talk about the difference in the CIAA from top to bottom is the offensive line play. And when you have a running back that has a solid offensive line like Virginia Union does and can make the right cuts and the right reads, I mean, it just gets ugly for the other team. The other two running backs, like Curtis Allen, he's built like a wide receiver, quite honestly. He's like 6'2", playing running back. And he's just more of a true power back. And they use him in those short yard situations, like getting close to the goal line. But Jada Byers is more of the home run hitter just because he just knows where the right crease and he's small enough to fit through those creases and can be elusive in that way, especially when they're trying to, whether they're running between the tackles, whether they're going towards the edge. I mean, he just knows where the right spot to get to.
Steven?
Yeah, I would echo what Kris said. You talk about vision, that's great. But also he's slippery too. It's just, he'll get in there. You think you got him tackled, and all of a sudden he's just got his legs churning, and he's right there. He reminds me a lot of Tariq Cohen. I haven't watched him for all those years over at North Carolina A&T, where it's just like every time he touches the ball, there's always that he's literally a home run threat. I think they've been, doing better. They've been finding more ways to get him the ball, even involved in the passing game a little bit. He had actually a receiving touchdown last week, instead of a rushing touchdown. So they're being really innovative in ways to get him the ball as well too. I don't know if he's 100. I don't know if he's 100%. But even at if he's at 90, I mean he's still good for 6 yards a carry. And he just doesn't get tired. So he's 6 yards a carry. He's a fun guy to watch for sure.
Let me ask this question, and it seems as though we've talked about. It seems like every other team in this top 7, except for Fayetteville State. Is it safe to say that they quietly just got it done week in, week out?
Steven, go ahead, and then Kris.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I mean, everybody, and I know we would hear about them every year. We guys talk about them being the bridesmaids, and that's what they were. first to Virginia, to Virginia State and for Bowie State for all those years. Last year they had a Jawarn team that they were able to get the win, but a lot of people, even in early season, were saying that you were thinking that Virginia Union won. I think everybody assumed that Virginia Union was the best team, and they just slipped up, and Fayetteville State was able to get in there. So I know those guys are going to come in, with the chip on their shoulder, even as they are. And they haven't always made it look pretty. At times it's been downright ugly, but they've found ways to win all year. And I feel like they feel confident coming into this game that they can figure out a way to do it again.
Sure.
Kris?
Fayetteville and quiet, I don't know about that, because Fayetteville has been, if you went into the dictionary and looked for the word drama, that's where you will find a picture of that white that horse Bronco mascot. To me, it hasn't been very quiet because of the fact that they've just always been in games where it's just a dogfight, and so you have a lot of teams that are just flashier. In the CIAA, John C. Smith is a little flashier. Virginia State. Flashier. Virginia Union, everybody's just looking at them because they were kind of the team to watch to get to the championship game this year. And then even Salem State turned into a little bit more flashier as the season wore on. But Fayetteville State was kind of that let me grab my lunch pail and go to work.
Steady presence.
Yeah, just very steady presence. But every time you're looking, like, as the Southern Division went on, you're just like, how are these guys going to win this week? That's really what it turned into for me. And we really just saw that, even like this past week, not to relitigate what happened, and that, oh gosh, it's just unacceptable. But that's as I look at Steven. But Fayetteville State, who averages 15 points a game, scored 40 points to win the game. That's why I just say that this team finds a way to win. That's just how mysterious they are. And you can't you think you got them pegged, and you don't.
And I guess that's what I was alluding to, because like all season, we'll talk, of course, Benedict, but Allen and the way they've come up, Florida Memorial, the way they've come up. You talk about Virginia State, the season they have, and it just seems as though week in, week out, I just keep an eye. Fayetteville State, just like you said, lunch pail type team, just kept steady presence, and lo and behold, they're in the championship game again. So. Yep,
no doubt. I mean, that's the thing is that a true challenger hasn't emerged just yet. We think we have one in the Southern Division, and it just doesn't come. And I think that's the difference now between the SIAC and the CIAA is that, you got a Fayetteville State that, can get to the championship game, 6 years in a row just because of the fact that the way the divisions are set up. But many people felt like this past weekend was really, truly the de facto championship game. And it's felt like that for some time, even after last year's win for Fayetteville State in the championship game. There's just so many other games that have happened that had that more championship mentality. I mean, think about it. Salem is not going to have 15,000 people at the game. That's what you had at Virginia State, Virginia Union. That's a championship level game. I mean, the Division II national championship game doesn't draw like that.
Wow.
So
great point. Kris, any final thoughts that you want to give on the matchup?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm really looking forward to is Virginia Union's defensive line. Those guys have, for all of the press that happens across both these two teams, to me, they're the game breakers of this game. And if they can really get to the quarterback and slow down Fayetteville State, like we have seen in prior years, like Bowie State's defensive line of prior years be really strong and disrupt what Fayetteville State's able to do on offense, it could be a long day for the Broncos. But again, FSU is going to make this dramatic, I think. I don't think it's going to be very easy. I'm just looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Good stuff. With that, which direction If I had to pull it for you, Chris, I had to tell you to give me the go. Which direction you going? Virginia Union Panthers at number 2, or do you see a slight upset with the Fayetteville Broncos ranked number 3 getting it done?
You know, last year I voted against Richard Hayes in this game, and I paid for it dearly. So I'm gonna go with the champs to the end. Nice. On my other show, the D2 football show on Sunday nights, they got the Virginia Union players got my boy Justin and tagged him on his pick. So I'm willing to accept the punishment that comes with this pick. I'm willing to accept that. I am not willing to have Richard Hayes look at my picture and say, "I told you so" again. I'm just not willing to do that this time.
Chris does get called out by name by coaches in the CIAA.
Right. That's what I've heard. I say on the first name basis. Stephen Gaither, which direction you going?
Well, I'm going to be at this game, so I'm going to withhold. I'm going to withhold my pick. But it doesn't matter. Right? I'm going to get smoke from either way because some way, somehow, somebody HBCU game day said something that they didn't win. That's just the way these things go. So
pretty much.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's a toss up, to be honest with you.
That's fair. Very few times, but we'll let you off the hook on this. Charles, which direction you going? I get the home team to give this up.
Yeah, until I see a team stop Jada Byers, I just got to go with Virginia Union. I mean, week in, week out, I think, like you mentioned, you touched on it, Chris, their offensive line opens holes for him, and he's just a game breaker. And I just, until I see him stopped, which I haven't yet, I have to go Virginia Union.
Good stuff. You heard it here first. Charles Bishop, Kris Ferguson, Stephen Gaither. We'll be right back after this break. We'll get into some major division talk. We'll see if the gentlemen want to stay around, or they got busy schedules, so they may have something else to do. But we'll be right back on after this break, and we'll see.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Kris Ferguson literally had some homework to do. D2 Ferg on Twitter is where you can catch him. That's Kris Ferguson. D2football.com, and you can catch him also with Stephen Gaither and Kendrick on D2 HBCU Football, streaming on HBCUGameday.com. With that being said, we're going to get into the major division. Before we do that, I think Charles wanted to give some accolades, shout out to somebody.
Yeah, let me shout out my guy Dave Barnett, man, my Saturday morning golf group, and all the Qs that I play golf with on Saturday morning. A lot of those guys, big Prairie View Panther backers and whatnot. But shout out to my guy Dave Barnett checking in tonight.
No doubt. I'm surprised Dave Barnett has recovered, as I saw what Q Nation was doing over there. He said, hey, come smoke a stogie with the Qs and chop it up. Man, more than happy to. Dave, appreciate the invite. We'll catch up. We'll make sure we get it done. We got some good football. Somebody's going to be celebrating, so I'll celebrate with somebody and smoke it up in terms of a stogie. Somebody's trophy is going to be held high. With that being said, Stephen Gaither, I think you wanted to get in the party with a shout-out as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to Jawarn Howell. You know, South Carolina State. Got a chance to see him in person a couple weeks ago. Man, a really big, talented back, and he's from best of all, he's from my backyard, Mooresville, North Carolina. 704, the part that's not in Charlotte. Also, Burris from Hampton as well. You know, he's from I think he's from Gastonia. And so, you know, there's a lot of talent in North Carolina. You know, we're a basketball state, but you know, there's a lot of talent here. So shout out to both of those guys. So look, if you're looking for some running backs, come to Iredell County. We got you.
No doubt. No doubt. They show talent around those parts. With that being said, let's get in the major division. Dr. Bill's 2023 HBC Major Division Football Poll Ranking, week number 10. It's getting close. With that being said, dropping out this week with Southern Jaguars. They fall to 5-4, 4-2. You saw what happened to them against the Braves. It was not kind. The Braves went to chopping, and boy, did they chop. With that being said, receiving votes, Southern Jaguars still stay in receiving votes, though. 5-4, 4-2, as I said, 169 points, just outside of the top 7. Essentially ranked number 8, Howard Bison. 4-5, 2-1, as they have a showdown this weekend. It should be interesting to see, can they get back over some of their wins as the dogs bit all over them. Boy, it was ugly. K9s came out and did not want to play. 4-5, 2-1 are the Bison, 148 points. With that being said, Prairie and the Panthers, they got it right on homecoming. They improved to 4-5, 4-2. They set up a showdown as they go to the Bluff with the wounded Jaguars. Can the Panthers take on the cousins there? You got the Panthers, nothing more than the Black Jaguars. We'll see who's going to rule the day. A lot of motion in that game. Obviously, more importantly, one of those teams wants to stay in the race because this is essentially an elimination game. We'll see what that means. With that being said, let's get into the stellar top 7. At number 7, Hampton Pirates. Man, they won a big game, 5-4, 3-3 in the Coastal Athletic Association Colonial. They have found a way to get back into the winning circles. With that being said, they jumped back in the top 7, 177 points, and they were not ranked last week. At number 6, Tennessee State Tigers. They fooled everybody, it seems like, but couldn't quite hold on to it. As they go on the road, they fall 6-3, 2-2, and 178 points. They fall 3 spots after getting beat by 14. It was tied 21-21 before it kind of got away from them. Left a lot on the line if you have the Tigers. Costly penalties, things of that nature seem to be their undoing. At number 5, Alabama State Hornets, 5-3. Man, some people were ready to run somebody out of there in Montgomery. Well, that might have changed. They improved to 5-3, 4-2, and they are one of the hottest teams out there, 191 points. They move up a spot as they continue to win. They get it done against Grambling in the Classic over there. Port City is what they call it. They just keep stinging folks. At number 4, Alcorn State Braves, 6-3. They made their statement, no longer quiet, 5-1, and they look to see if they can put a stranglehold on the West where everybody wants to be mixed up and matched up. Well, they got a lead on everybody there. If they win out, it's a done deal. 192 points, pre-ranked 5, so they do move up a spot. They have a big one this Sunday as they go on the road to Texas Southern University. Yeah, Texas Southern seems to not be getting it done with the losing record, but they actually played a lot of close games. Can they stun the world this Sunday? If not, you certainly have a setup for the Soul Bowl, Capital City Classic, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a good one in 2 weeks. A little ahead of our skis. Let's get back to number 3, which are that Jackson State Tigers, 73, 5-2. Guess what? They're off this week, 260 points, but they move up a spot getting it done last week against those Texas Southern Tigers. It did come down to a 2-point conversion that would have sent it in the overtime, essentially. But Texas Southern continues to do what they do. As Jackson State Tigers, they just win 73, 5-2 in the conference race. At number 2, Florida A&M Rattlers, 8-1, 7-0. 5 first place votes, 244 points, ranked 2. They jump into the coaches' FCS top 10 at number 9 this week as a nationally ranked team. Boy, You talk about what could be in the celebration bowl. Two top 10 FCS programs, 1 and 2. One team on the cuff, a returning champion. Got a little more action before that being said. The Braves said, hold on. A couple of other teams in the West said they want a rematch at it as well. But with that being said, set up for a big one this week before we go to number 1, North Carolina Central Eagles at 8-1, 3-0, 7 first place votes, 246 points, ranked number 1. Man, are they getting it done. It's amazing when you go on the road and you seem to be the team that wants to be the hunted. You beat up on the team last year, but you faltered against the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. And so Howell got a co-champions. They celebrated, rightfully so. They were co-champs. But it seems like North Carolina Central Eagles took it personal. With that being said, it's interesting when you go on the road and you're going to go to a home team and still take it personal. Man, that's intriguing. We'll see what it is all about. But you got the number 1 ranked team going into Washington, D.C. against Howard Bison. They say they're resurging and they want a piece of it. We shall see. With that being said, right now we're just talking about the top 7 matchups. With that being said, Stephen Gaither, what do you think about my top 7 in week 10?
You know, I generally get it. I know you do week to week, so because the only thing I had was a loss is a win over Lincoln worse than a loss to Miles for your 5 and 6. You know,
good point.
You know, but other than that was kind of it. I see Southern fell off the wagon. I told you I was off the bandwagon last week, and they fell, and for good reason. So you know,
got off of that train right on time because this show did crash in Lowland, Mississippi.
And I don't know, and also I told you so, Ranks. I don't know if it was here or if it was also on HBCU Nightly, but I did say that Buddy Pugh was going to pull off that upset.
You did,
so, you know,
you did. I think you said it on both.
I think I thought Howard was going to Howard. So sorry, Erica. I saw you on Saturday. You know, really nice. I hate I have to keep picking against Howard and they keep messing up. But I will see. I haven't made up my mind yet about this week.
Hey, but it seems like you're right. So sometimes you got to err on the right side and the wrong side. We'll see if they can finally prove me wrong. With that being said, Charles, what do you think in the top 7?
I think we're right on point. I think North Carolina Central and Florida A&M, they've had statement wins. I think on national TV audience, Central over South Carolina State, big statement. I'm questioning I just don't think there's a MEAC team out there that can take them down. I mean, they're going to be the favorite going the rest of the way. FAMU, we joked about it Sunday, but Tallahassee Convention and Visitors Bureau is about to make a lot of money because they sold it up this past weekend. You got to come to Bragg to try to get the SWAC championship and pry it out of the Rattlers' hands. To me,
they haven't lost it very often, particularly
Right, exactly. No 2 teams are hotter in the SWAC right now than Alcorn and Alabama State. I wish I could have seen this version of Alabama State take on FAMU. But when you take a look at it, their number 1 defense in the SWAC, they're only giving up 16.5 points a game. They got the SWAC's version of Megatron and Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, he is a guy week in, week out. He's going to make catches, a spectacular catch. And then, again, we joked about it this past Sunday, but Brave Nation, are y'all tired of firing Fred McNair? I mean, year in, year out, he's going to have you right in the mix, but y'all steady going to get shown. So, all right, whatever. Yeah. But again, they've taken over first place in the Wacky SWAC West. This is going to be an interesting matchup this weekend when they take on Texas Southern because Texas Southern, as Jackson State will attest to it, they still got a lot of fight in them. And they have one of the better linebackers, I think, in the SWAC. Another huge weekend for Jacob Williams in terms of 12 tackles and things of that nature. So, and then they got the best running back in the SWAC in Ladarius Owen. So it's going to be a dog.
I was going to go there.
Yeah. So Alcorn needs to be prepped and ready to fight for 4 quarters against this tough Texas Southern team. So, it's kind of wild how things are kind of shaking out. Jackson State is going to have a say in the SWAC West battle with the Soul Bowl. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's wild. If Southern wins it this weekend, essentially with a win by Alcorn, they can sew it up. Prairie View gets it done, then they're going to have a key matchup against those Hornets at home that you talking about. You talking about, yeah, they couldn't do it against Valley last year. Now you're going to have to face a Hornet team. Now, a couple of years ago, they went on the road to their credit and got it done against the Hornets in terms of a tough matchup. Boy, it's still going to find a way, it seems, to go down the stretch, but we shall see week to week as this poll rankings. We'll see what it looks like at the top with this matchups. But we have a chance right now of the way things could sneak out in terms of what people see as 1 and 2, what the FCS national rankings are from the coaches. You got 1 versus 2, 7 versus 9 in the national poll as North Carolina Central hasn't moved up to number 7. Boy, would that be some storylines for HBCU Gameday and Stephen Gaither to get their hands on. With that, we'll take our last break, come back on the other side, and give you an update on a couple of major division matchups, and then we'll call it a show. Stickers will be right back after this last break.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Professor Bishop, Professor Gaither. Gaither, man, I heard you doing some adjunct teaching in terms of how to write, how to get your film on, and how to do some new media stuff. So we're going to give you your respective dues in terms of the work you did. With that, we got 3 independent matchups that we believe it's important that we break down. These are key games in various formats. The first one has national implications in terms of one of the programs. But for the HBCU program, Charles kind of alluded to this early in terms of restarting the program and coming back. They have a chance to get at least a share of a championship in the Sun Conference. Quite amazing. Miami Gardens, Florida, they're at home. Betty T. Ferguson Stadium, Saturday, November the 11th at 11 a.m. Central Time. The high noon in Florida as they get it going. They have number 6 coming to the stadium. That's number 6 NIA program. Historically White College University, if you didn't aware of it. Kaiser Seahawks are 7-2 overall and 6-0 in terms of the conference standing. They're at number 6 in terms of our mid-major ranking that we just released. Florida Memorial Lions are 6-3, 5-1. Chance to get at it. They had an earlier chance where they were playing the top-ranked team and couldn't quite get it done. This time they're at home. Stephen Gaither, what do you think about this matchup in terms of Florida Memorial and Kaiser?
Well, obviously it's this may be the biggest game of the new Florida Memorial football program. You know, they started it back during the pandemic. They were the only HBCU to play in 2020. They played a couple games before calling it quits. So it's great to see this program, continue to rise from the ashes and really make itself a player in the NAIA. We saw Edward Waters take a similar track prior until it, advanced and is now at the Division II level in the SIAC. So I think for Florida Memorial, the Lions have battled some teams, Division II teams, as well as some good NAIA teams. There's a chance for a statement win, and I like Coach is doing a great job with them. Coach Bobby is Coach Bobby. He's doing a great job with them. And so I think they get it done. I think it's going to definitely be a tight one, but I think this is a statement win for Florida Memorial, and I'm looking forward to them making that statement and announcing that they are the big cats in the NAIA.
Nice. Did Charles? Did you hear Stephen? Did he just drop a little dime there when he talking about as they prepare to join the SIC and NCAA Division II level? Did he?
I didn't. No. Not breaking news. No. I'm just saying, building as an NAIA program.
Okay.
As an NAIA program. Yeah.
Oh man!
As if I don't get enough already. Thank you for turning it up that much. Yes, thank you.
Hey, I'm just saying, Charles. What do you think about this matchup, Florida Memorial?
This is a huge matchup for Florida Memorial in terms of taking on this tough Kaiser Seahawk defense. But I do believe as Saquon Smith goes, so goes this Florida Memorial offense. Huge weekend this past weekend. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 282 yards. Now they got a little bit of balance with that throwing with Walter Winton now going for over 100 yards, I believe, 2 weeks in a row. So I like Florida Memorial at home. I think this is a statement victory for them.
Good stuff, Charles. Good stuff. Man, Florida Memorial, boy, if they can make this statement, it would be huge. Both of y'all saying they will do that. I like it. Let's get into the classic major division game of the week, Hampton, Virginia, Armstrong Stadium. Those that have been following HBCU sports like us, remember when this game was a playoff game, Hampton at home couldn't quite get it done. Remember the President Harvey running down the sideline chasing a referee after he thought he got an unfair call. It was just that type of game. Armstrong Stadium, though. Now it's a conference matchup in the Coastal Athletic Association, CIAA, Saturday, November 11th at 12 Central Standard Time. Flow Sports, William and Mary, the Tribe. 5-4 overall, 3-3 in the CIAA. At number 7, as we just released in our major division ranking, Hampton Pirates, sitting at 4-5, 3-3. They have a chance at a winning season, which would be significant just overall for the program in terms of where they've been, particularly playing as a member of the Coastal Athletic Association, formerly known as the Colonial Athletic Association. With that being said, Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup with Hampton and William and Mary?
You know, when Hampton is playing really good football, the defense is normally making a play or two sitting out there. And this has got to be a game where the defense steps up against this tough William and Mary team. But Elijah Burris, he has to have another Elijah Burris type day. Again, he rushes for over 120 some odd yards this past weekend. If Hampton's defense shows up in this game, I could see Hampton squeaking this one out in a tight one late over William and Mary.
Good stuff. Wow. Should be interesting to watch this one. Unfortunately, it's on Flow Sports, so you have to pay your fees. But we understand it. It's about capitalism in this country. Yeah, find a way to get it done. With that being said, Tribe versus the Pirates. You've seen this for years as well. Obviously, not in your backyard, but in your general area. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Stephen?
I think this is a chance, for Hampton to, again, show that they've taken that next step as a program. You talk about from them being in a playoff position a couple decades back now. So they had their struggles, changing the conferences and all of that, but they're sitting at 5-4 with a winning season right in their sights. Coach Prunty and his team have built their program slowly, and they've got those great running backs. William and Mary came in to the season as defending CAA co-champs, but they lost their defensive coordinator, who's now at North Carolina A&T, and they have taken some stumbles, and so they are definitely not infallible. And I think this will be a huge win, also for Hampton in terms of not only CAA but recruiting as well. And I like what Coach Prunty and those guys have cooking. If they can hold on to the ball, Chris Ellis, I'm talking to you. If you can hold on to the ball and make those turnovers, that's the difference in the game, because they can score. They can score, as Charles said, if their defense gets any help and their offense doesn't shoot itself in the foot like I watched them do against State in person. then I like this team a lot, and I think they can pull it off. So I'm gonna roll with Hampton. I think they can pull it off.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Our independent bonus game of the week will be a non-conference matchup. A conference matchup, major division game. Charleston, Illinois. They just came from South Charleston over there. Now they're in Charleston, Illinois. O'Brien Field, the Big South Conference game, OVC. Both of these teams been in OVC for a while. So this is Saturday, November 11th on ESPN. You have number 6 Tennessee State Tigers from our major division rankings that were just released, 6-3, 2-2. They're at Eastern Illinois, the Panthers, that are also at 6-3, 2-2. Obviously, that loss last week to Charleston really put a damper on what everybody was excited about, OVC, BC, Big South, if you would, championships. But there's still a chance to make a statement in terms of how things work out. They might find a way to get a co-championship out of things. With that being said, I'm going to stick with you, Stephen. What are your thoughts in terms of the Tigers against the Panthers?
I think this is they got a big opportunity ahead of them. Obviously, last week was a disappointment. You guys are on a roll. Beating teams and trying to drum up fan support and things like that. But you got to go on the road. So they faced a Charleston Southern team that I think was Georgia, Clemson. I think it was Clemson maybe who they kind of gave Clemson a scare at a certain point. So Charleston Southern, no slouches. But I think it's a big bounce back game for Coach George and his program. They got a recruiting win earlier this week with with a really talented guy there. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Let me go to you, Charles, in terms of this matchup with the Tigers. There's all things going on. Number 6 Tennessee State Tigers, 6-3, 2-2. Somebody was asking me when they was all frustrated with the fan support on the road. I said, what would this look like if they were playing number 2 as FAMU obviously has a non-conference game. If this was a conference matchup in the SWAC with Tennessee State number 6 playing FAMU. Well, it's not to be, and it's not the Panthers of Prairie View. It's Eastern Illinois Panthers, 6-3, 2-2. Still important in terms of the BSC, OVC, if you would, Big South Conference, Ohio Valley Conference. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup of Tennessee State Tigers? Can they continue to move forward and take the next step and close out the season in a strong affair?
Yeah, huge letdown last week in terms of Tennessee State losing to Charleston Southern. But you get the bounce back if the defense comes back this week. That was a bit of a surprise, them giving up 35 points to Charleston Southern last week. And I believe Tennessee State has had the Big South OVC Player of the Week on the defensive side of the ball at least 4 or 5 weeks. So they're very strong on the defensive side of the ball. Draylen Ellis, he's got to step up big in this game for Tennessee State to get the win. So tall order, but Tennessee State, if they get back to what they do best, which is running the football, very, very physical up front, and playing some lights-out defense, they can get in there, sneak in, and get the W.
No doubt. With that being said, Brandon King said TSU has got to have this game. And when D. Moore, Tennessee State pulls it out on the road. Normally pick Tigers over Panthers, Jaguars, but I'm picking HBCU Tigers over PW Panthers. I like it. Good stuff. With that being said, last thing, Stephen Gaither, know you get out of here, but I did be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to give your insights on the SIAC championship game. Most people think it's Benedict all the way. Are you in the same way?
Yes.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening, Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Hope you enjoyed Stephen Gaither joining us as well as Kris Ferguson. Make sure you catch up with them, Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, Sunday at 9 a.m. Stick with us. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattacavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. It's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Stephen?
Lecture.
Dismissed.